What is up, everybody? We are here. We're very late talking, discussion, and review on the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we are here to do it. Me and Adelia had seen it. A couple others have seen it, but it's just going to be me and Adelia tonight talking about the Thunderbolts. So, yeah, what'd you think just overall about the Thunderbolts, Adelia?
This movie made me feel seen in a way I didn't expect to ever feel seen by a superhero film. Um, it was completely different than what I expected going into it. I expected, the misfit anti-hero team to team up and not really like each other and all that, and we got that. But the underlying and not even hidden, but like overt dealing with mental health and depression and how insidious it is in this film really, really spoke to me in a way that like I was sobbing in the theater. I rewatched it tonight before we did this just to make sure I had everything in order, and I was crying again. Like this movie touches me in a profound way that I can't explain. Really.
Uh, it had like a little bit of a moment for me in the movie that I thought was really done well. And like, I can't remember all these people's names. I'm never good with names. But you had, crap. What is the blonde haired girl? What is her name?
Yelena.
The Romanoff or whatever.
Yelena
Yeah. So,
Belova.
all right. So her dad's interaction at one part of the film, like before
Yeah.
the and then like when she comes up and they're like talking and she's like uh doing the frustrated thing and all that kind of stuff, but then they were able to like come together. I thought that was like a pretty well done moment in a movie that didn't have this. This was a movie. It was it's kind of like um, the different movies that we've gotten, like so with like the Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, where there's a lot of jokes and stuff. You got a crew that's like, and there's just a lot of things being said back and forth and quips being thrown out of there. I thought that was like a pretty serious moment. And to some of those moments that you're talking about, like with like the mental health stuff or whatever, I thought they did pretty decently on most of that stuff as well. And everything else. Like me and you had talked about this in the Discord, and now I don't
Mhm.
necessarily feel 100% this way because I do think there was like a line to be drawn, and to me, it didn't quite cross it. It was getting there a little bit, but it didn't quite cross the line for me to be like, oh man, like I don't like this movie because of this or whatever. But it's like I said, when you throw like five people together, my only kind of complaint about the stuff with the mental health was like you throw five people together, everybody's going to handle things differently. And to me, it was almost, not quite, but almost over the top that like every one of them like handled it, like had the same kind of situation, always like a little bit of a different story to get to where they were, right? So they all had their own like background of why they were feeling the way they were feeling. But like not everybody's going to take like, oh, I'm down and out approach. There's going to be at least one of those five that does like handles their, we all like, for instance, like when something bad happens in our life, we all handle that differently. Like some
Yeah.
people joke, some people do this. And I did, like I said, it didn't take me out of the movie, and I don't think it was super bad, but I can understand a few people that I heard a complaint about was there was like too much of that just because of the fact, and I can understand it, like I said, because I do understand that like if you have a group of people, there's going to be at least one of those that handles it differently than the others.
See,
They're
I
all
feel there was that in there though, because Walker was pretending everything was fine.
But yeah, but he even had that like bigger
The
moment.
the vision
Right,
with
right.
Mercury for sure that told us
My
that it
thing with Walker is I just feel very weird about Walker, to be
yeah.
honest. I don't feel like he's a bad guy that people try to make, well, not even like say fans, a bad guy or like in the movies, in like the show that he was in, and
Mhm.
then in this film, it was almost like he was given like this bad rap for almost like uh, nothing to me.
He
Like
murdered
even
an innocent man as Captain America in broad daylight in front of a town
But
square
that to
full of
me, that
people.
wasn't innocent man. He was part of like this terrorist group that was trying to do some horrible shit. So it's not like he just murdered like the random hot dog vendor or something like that for no
But
reason.
he hadn't murdered anyone, that man.
What you talking about?
The guy that
Yeah, but no, but you
not
can't.
the guy that killed Walker's best
Right,
friend.
right, right. But that would be like that. That's you talk about this logically, right? So like
He
you have Lex Luthor, and he's about to like blow up the world or something like that, and then he's got the scientists sitting next to him that came up with the ways for Lex Luthor to do that, but then to say like, oh, I'm going to feel bad that guy died because he didn't push the button like Luthor did. That's the kind of argument you're making there. If he's part of
no.
this thing that's trying to do something that's bad and horrible, look,
He's
I'm not
still
going to sit here and
supposed to
say,
be he's still supposed to be Captain America at that point, and Captain America should not be murdering a man in front of a crowd full of
but
people, an innocent man in
maybe
broad
there's more of an
daylight.
argument if he was a true Captain America, but the whole point was is he wasn't Captain America. Like he was kind of put into that spot, and he was trying to be Captain America. So he's obviously not going to be as the same thing as Captain America. He's not. He's going to fall short of that. Like to
Mhm.
me, anybody that tries to step in the shoes of like Captain America is going to fall short in some ways. Like I said, you know, the dude to me, like, is he a horrible murderer? Like you just explained, like that he wasn't right. But like, I'm talking about the terrorist guy.
Mhm.
I was still not innocent. Like, let's don't be like, oh, he's like I said, he's not like the hot dog salesman that put mustard on his hot dog and he wanted ketchup and it kills him. It's not like an innocent dude that wasn't doing anything wrong. He was doing things wrong. Now, me and you can have a back and forth about should he have died at that moment? You know, maybe he should have did something or whatever. But to act like the guy that he ended up killing,
Okay, we're spending too much time on the guy. The point still is Walker murdered that man. He's
see,
not a good
I just wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it murder.
guy. Okay. We have a comment here from Brennan saying this movie was a wonderful commentary on mental health. I agree with Brendan on that. It really was. It was completely unexpected to me that was the when this movie opens with Yelena standing on top of that building in Malaysia, and
Mhm.
the first line of the movie is "There's something wrong with me," and she goes into how she's feeling. I'm like, that's how I feel every day. Like, and when she meets Bob, and I saw so much of myself in Bob. We're gonna get more into what it's like living with schizoaffective disorder on next week's episode of The Open Table. The Open Table will be back next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Me and Ferris are going to have a very frank conversation about mental health and what it's like living with schizoaffective disorder in my experience, because I have schizoaffective disorder.
Mhm.
For those who are not aware, it is a really, really awful thing to have. But I listen to Bob say, I have these really great moments and then it just disappears. And like Bob doesn't remember portions of his life because of it. And there are portions of my life that I don't remember because of it. And I just saw myself in so much of this movie that it really affected me. It really did.
Right, and it's the same kind of way, right? So like I was saying earlier, that I actually and I think that's one of the reasons why it never crossed the line to me to where I was like, oh, this is a little too much, because I do think they did the stuff that they did. Story arc with most of these characters was pretty good. So
Hmm.
like maybe that's why to me, like I don't feel like it crossed the line of like, oh man, this is just too much kind of situation because of that. But it's just like this. Perfect example is in this movie, you brought up the thing that like hit you the hardest, right? I
Hmm.
brought up the thing that hit me the hardest. Guess
Yeah.
what? It's because they relate to who we are.
Hmm.
Me, because of a father son, father daughter, like I got a son. So, like, and I raised my son on my own. So, like, I get that, like, feeling from the father and the daughter, whatever. You can mix match that. It doesn't matter. It's still like a father and being a parent kind of situation. It's the same thing,
Hmm.
no matter if it's son or daughter or whatever. Whereas like you're going to get hit harder on the things that has to do with something that personally affects your life, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying here is that like I understand to where people don't get affected as much as say like you will with this movie. Just
Yeah.
like when I watch a movie that's about a father and son, I'm over here about to tear up. You know what I'm saying? I never let tears hit my beard. I suck them back in the eyeball if they get too low. But with that being said, like I'll still be like red eyed. Maybe I'll be swallowing hard, trying to hold it
Hmm.
down or whatever when I'm watching a film that's got like a father and son interaction on there. Like that's not going to hit you as hard, and you might think, oh, You know, in a movie like that, you might be like, "Ah, oh, man, like maybe they went a little too far with this." It's the same thing that we're talking about
Yeah.
when we're talking about this particular movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you don't suffer from mental health issues, you're not going to be as affected by Bob's mental health issues and Yelena's openness with talking with Alexei and others about her depression in this movie. Um, it's just something that you don't usually see given this sort of care in a superhero movie.
Oh,
That's one
no
of the
doubt,
reasons why I was blown away by this movie. I give
no
this
doubt.
movie. I'll spoil my score right now. I gave this movie a 5 out of 5. It's not because it's perfect. It's not because it's the best thing Marvel ever did. It's because of how they made me feel like a member of society that is worth being a member of society. When so often people with mental illness are sort of like treated like we'd rather you not be here kind of thing by society. So I felt seen, and I've never seen myself in a Marvel movie before. I did in this one.
I don't even know if I've ever seen myself in a Marvel movie, but it's like I said, I don't really go in expecting it because of the fact that
Hmm.
like um, we're talking about superhero movies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, and that's one of the things. But like, and I also don't go into things. Like I said, there will be things that hit me. Just like I said, like with the, I'm gonna always get her name wrong. Le, I know,
Yelena.
Lena.
Yelena.
Yelena starts with a Y.
Yes.
A while ago when you said it, I thought it was like a L. So it's,
No.
but like I said, that moment to me was like pretty big. Now I will say it also brought up a thing to me that I think is like kind of unfair. I thought there was two things that were unfair in this film, and that's when Yelena's talking about all her things and like like how she wished he was there and everything else. This is something we've also talked about in the Discord, just with like everyday life. I think the unfairness with her going off on her dad as hard is Yelena, you got a phone. You could have showed up at your dad. Like, I get that she wants him to reach out to her some as well, but there's a two-way street when that comes to it. Like, everybody always sits around and you go to like a funeral or something and you're talking to some family you don't talk to very often, and you're sitting there and you're having the discussion. And then when everybody leaves, it's like, hey, we got to get together more often, or hey, we got to talk more often. And then nothing happens. And then, like, especially if one side tries to blame the other side, it's like, bro, you got a phone too.
Yeah, I
Like,
do agree with that, but I also, when you are as depressed as Yelena is, it's hard to pick up the phone and make a phone call. Like
right.
I
But you
can't
got,
do it.
my point with that be, I guess a little bit of a pushback with that would be with like in that situation, you also have to understand it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world for the other person either.
No, yeah. I think it's at this point it's worth us just stating on this review for the record. Alexi's not her real dad. Natasha wasn't her real sister, but they lived as a family together when Yelena was a child, just as she had entered the Red Room program, and that is why she considers him her father because she
Right.
doesn't know who her parents are. So I think Alexei, also being someone from the Red Room program, doesn't necessarily know all the ways to be a dad because he wasn't a dad for most of his life, and he's got Yelena back around now after the events of the Black Widow movie, and he doesn't know what to do. And I thought he said that beautifully in that speech and conversation that they had on the streets of New York after they had
Well,
battled the Sentry for the first time.
something that happened to me in my life personally, kind of recently on all ends, not super recently on one thing that I found out, but like, not long ago, I had to drive up to see my dad because I thought he was going to die. And
Hmm.
because he got ran over by a truck. And when I say ran over by a truck, he got ran over by a truck. And Lord, gave him an extra life or whatever, a little bit more time here on earth because I thought it was done. I had to go see him, but I still cared for him and still wanted to go see him in that moment, even though maybe like a year ago, I found out that he actually wasn't my dad. I'm
Yeah.
45, so I didn't find out until like it was either what, a year or 2 years ago,
Hmm.
somewhere in that range, maybe a year and a half or whatever. That like the person that I called dad my entire life actually is not my biological father. I finally found that out, even at late in life or whatever. And even though I know that, he's been my dad this whole time. He was the one that was there and helped me out of things and all that kind of good stuff. So like I was trying to be there for him, even knowing after the fact that he. So I understand like where she's coming from. Like she still wants him to be there and be a family, even though technically they're technically not with all that stuff. Like I said, the only thing I thought was like I always I pushed back on the you could have got up with me because we all could have got up with each other,
Yeah, no,
right?
I
And
do
that's the
understand
issue.
that, but I also I'm coming from this is from the
Yeah,
point of view of the person with severe depression. It's really difficult to pick up the phone. It's really difficult to reach out and make connections with people. I don't answer messages. I don't call people. Like I can't even pick up the phone and call a doctor's office and make an appointment for myself sometimes. Like it's
right.
really difficult thing to do, and so I also understand why Yelena didn't pick up the phone and call him.
Oh no, I mean, like I said, the fault is not on her. The fault's on both of them. Like he still
Mhm.
could have got up with her. She could have got up with him. Is my whole thing. Is like this. It's the
Mhm.
equal parts because even someone that's not like diagnosed with something that's like mental health, you always have things that may give you anxiety, like even but that's not detrimental. Like you get anxiety about certain things that you don't
Mhm.
really care to do. You don't want to. There's no real good reason why you don't care to do it or whatever. You just
Yeah.
don't want to do it. And we all have those times where we're like reminiscing or something like that and we feel bad about certain things, like something that happened in your life that was not a great decision or something like that. There's just different levels, right? Like so if you have the actual mental health and you have like serious issues there, it's harder than like the other person. So for like people like we all like to say, oh, like we're normal, but yeah, we're all like a lot of people may be considered normal, but we all have anxiety about something. We all have our things that like gets us down. Like
Mhm.
even if you're not diagnosed as being like depressed or anything else. But like I said, I do agree with you, and I think that is why it never became a big problem. The only thing I would say is like kind of like earlier, if like three of these characters were like that, right? Like, and they did it as well as they did, I still think you would have been seen in that. Like, I think you would have still seen yourself in those three characters and how good they did it and all that. Maybe there could have been like a little bit more, I guess, diversity in the characters as far as like I said, we all handle things differently, and not everybody's going to get into that deep of a thing. And I do a little bit agree that Walker was the least of the other ones.
Walker was the one that was pretending everything was fine. Ava, we never really saw like a vision through Sentry of what Ava's like
Yeah, she
backstory
was kind of
was.
like the least one that was like talked about and really
But we
handled.
also had a whole movie in Ant-Man and the Wasp that was about like what Ava's childhood had been like. So I understand why they didn't put that in this movie. Um
Hey, and one more character.
Taskmaster was in this for a
I
10.
was about to bring that up. I was about to say one character we didn't get a lot of story from because they didn't last very long was the Taskmaster. And I
Yeah.
go ahead. What did you think about that?
Um I wasn't surprised that one of them got killed off. I was surprised that she got killed off when she did in this movie. Um, but I wasn't surprised that they killed one of the team members off. And it makes sense to me that they killed one of the team members off in that scene. I just wasn't expecting it. And I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting it to be the Taskmaster character either. Antonia Dreykov, I believe was her name, from the Black Widow movie. Um, she had connections to Natasha, and now Natasha's not here. So even though she kind of has similar connections to Yelena, it's not the same as her connections to Natasha. So I understand why she's the character out of these four that were there to, shooting at each other in that room to that they killed off. But I was pretty shocked that someone died that early in the film.
I'm shocked that the MCU killed anybody.
I
Maybe
know
this
you
is why
are.
I'm a little bit higher on this film than I might would have been otherwise because it was like, oh damn, oh
Yeah.
somebody can get taken out in this film. But
Mhm.
on top of that, uh, if you would have told me, like I never would have guessed it, I wouldn't have thought MCU would have did this. Period. But if you would have told me, hey, there's a scene, they're going to be fighting, one of them's going to die, I would have been like, the Taskmasters. That basically was the red shirt
Yeah.
in freaking Spock Star Trek. They've been the red shirt. You know what I'm saying? To me,
Yeah.
because to me, like you just said, there's a little bit of relativity there, but like to out of all of them, I would have picked that character as probably the weakest one, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We got to know Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier much more. We got to know Ghost in Ant Man and the Wasp much more. She was in Black Widow, but we didn't really get to know that character that well of Antonia Dreykov. And you're not killing Yelena. Like it would have. Like when we get to the end of the film and it's the Sentry as the Void is attacking New York, and Yelena turns to the black. I knew she wasn't dead. You're not going to kill off Yelena this early into the run of Florence Pugh. She's phenomenal as Yelena. And she's someone you can build a team of Avengers around, which is what they've kind of done at the end of this movie. But it makes sense that Taskmaster is the one that died. I just wasn't expecting it that early in the film.
Right. I will say the other thing that I felt like to me, and maybe they wanted you to feel like it was he was being unfairly treated. Maybe that was part of the character, uh, to feel like oh, because I already brought him up, Walker. But one thing specifically in this film, not just about like what we were talking about that happened in the show, was like he had a friend of his like pass away, and
Hmm.
one of his moments that he goes back to is he's kind of like sitting there, he's in the doldrums and everything else because of the situation and everything that he's kind of in, and like there's a baby that's in the crib that's like his or whatever because he's like
His son,
married or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, married at the time, and I just thought that was like super unfair for the mom to do to like come in there and act like he's not doing anything. He's still sitting there next to the kid. It's not like the kid was about to fall to its death or something like that and he wasn't paying attention. He's doing what even a lot of moms would do, like if they're super tired or something, not even like in a
Yeah, the
situation he
baby's in
was
the
in.
playpen.
Like,
Take a
so it's
minute,
safe.
check the phone. Yeah, so many
Like,
parents do that.
right, right. But like, so I felt like I said, maybe the people making the movie were trying to make you feel sorry for him in a way. But I kind of started feeling sorry for him because I'm like, because like we can have our differences on what we think he did in that show, right? I don't think he
Mhm.
murdered somebody. Now I think he went too far, but there's a difference between like murdering and you doing something maybe a little further than you should have kind of situation. I just wouldn't call it murder because of the the stuff surrounding it. But with that being said, he lost a friend, right? Like a really good bud of his, and he's like down and out about that, but he's not. He's still there, right? He's not like out trying to drink with friends and stuff. He's like still
Yeah.
there. He's still right next to his kid
Mhm.
that's in a playpen. Like I said, like nothing dangerous happening there. And then like his wife to come in like she does and like super rude to him and snatches up the kid. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that
Like a
was an
lot of
interesting scene.
a lot of parents do that just because they're tired. He's got even more of a reason to kind of be like that, right? Like, so I just didn't understand that. If they were trying to make me feel like he's a character that gets treated unfairly, then they did a good job. But if that wasn't their intent with that scene, I'm like, bro, I kind of hated that scene because I was just like, that don't like, it'd be different if the baby's about to fall in the pool or something like that. He's like
Yeah.
chilling on the thing and he's not even watching the baby kind of situation.
Mhm.
But he's literally sitting in the couch right next to the freaking playpen the baby's in.
Yeah. I think they were trying to make Walker a more sympathetic character because they were gonna do the pivot at the end, and he's gonna be one of the heroes of the new Avengers. We'll talk about that in a minute, but, they don't really have the others teased the way they teased Walker either before we find out that his wife left him and took his kid.
Yeah.
They tease him about his Norman Rockwell life, and they call him the dime store Captain America and all of that. That doesn't really happen with him back to the Ghost or Yelena.
Yeah, that's even another thing, right? You can throw on top of the like being kind of unfair because I think he's unfairly being criticized. But I would have been fine with that if he would have had. I just don't feel like even at the end of the film that he had this moment. I do think the team was growing around him better, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think he really had this moment like a 100% moment where like they all are sympathetic to him and like understand him. Maybe there's a little bit of that, but I just don't think there was a big enough like makeup, you know what I'm saying, for all the
Yeah.
things they were doing to him during the entire film. And like I
Well,
said, the stuff that he's done to me hasn't ever been that bad. So as a person watching the film, I'm like, man. And then I'm waiting to the end. I'm like, oh, well, he's gonna have a big ass moment at the end where everybody kind of cheers for him, right? Like, and he had a moment, but I just don't feel like it was big, big enough.
yeah. He gets his shield turned into basically a taco by Sentry in that fight in the Watchtower. And then he's there for the rest of it, but the rest of it is really about the interconnected shame rooms and getting out of them and saving New York with Bob's help. And it becomes focused on Bob, which we'll talk about that in a minute too, because I was sobbing. I was absolutely sobbing during most of that final sequence. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to see how they deal with Walker in Avengers Doomsday, because he's in Avengers Doomsday with the rest of the new Avengers, and he's like, I don't see how he can be the leader of the new Avengers when you've got Yelena and Bucky on the team. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits into that dynamic.
I think if anything they're gonna try to do is have Bucky be the leader, because I think that, like, to me, the one problem MCU's had is trying to like push past certain things just to get to something they want to do,
Hmm.
right? Because I like Falcon. I like Falcon as a character.
Sam
Uh,
Wilson, Captain
yes, Sam
America
Wilson.
now.
Yeah. So I like him as a character, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but I think what they did was kind of like, so with like a Bucky getting, if Bucky would have been handed the shield at the end of Infinity War,
Endgame. Endgame.
Endgame, but like the whole Infinity War saga,
Hmm.
if he would have been given the shield, I felt like it was a little more earned because of the fact of the relationship that him and Captain America had for a long time, and him proving like, hey, I've came back. I'm here for you. I'm here to save. I'm here to do the right thing and all of that. And then if you only wanted to have, say, like a one movie stretch where he was that character, and then for whatever reason,
Or
like
even
he
if you
decides,
wanted to make Falcon and Winter Soldier and have him be Captain America in that.
yeah, and yeah, but that's the thing is what I'm saying though is like I think if they would have waited a little bit, gave Bucky the shield at first, had a one or two movie stretch where he held the shield, and for whatever reason, whether it's because he gets like seriously hurt or something like that, right? Like he really can't perform as good or something, and
Hmm.
then he hands it down to the Falcon on that level. I think that would have just been a better progression because he tried to like get to something. I get why they want to eventually have Falcon become like Captain America or whatever. I get they want to get there, but
Yeah.
some of the things is like getting there is like,
Hmm.
okay, cool. Like I'm cool with like a female Silver Surfer. Didn't have I don't really even have no critique with her in that movie Fantastic Four, which we just did. But it's like you're also like if you're a Silver Surfer fan, you're going to want the original Silver Surfer and then progress into the other thing naturally is a lot cooler. And everybody can be, okay, we got the real Silver Surfer. We got the first one. We got the one that I love and grew up collecting the comic books for. And now it's cool that we're going on to the like new thing or whatever that's happening now. And I
Well,
think,
she's
yeah.
a character. Not to sidetrack into Fantastic Four, but she is also a character from the comics who has been in the comics for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't mind, and I think it actually makes a lot of sense that they used the female Silver Surfer in that movie. But I think that they're going to lean towards Bucky and Yelena being, and I think you can see this in the post credit scene. Bucky and Yelena are like the leaders of the new Avengers, and then Walker's just kind of there. And I'm going to be real curious how he fits in Doomsday.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I overall enjoyed this movie. I'm
Mhm.
obviously not gonna be as high on it as you are because you're like 5 out of 5 already. To let
Yeah.
everybody know.
Yeah.
But with that being said, like I still enjoyed this film and everything. Like, but I am gonna have an issue though. If we get another film where Walker's in there and he's kind of treated like garbage again. It might take me out of the next film. No matter
I
how
can see
good some of
that.
the
I
stuff
can see
around
that.
that, yeah, no matter how good the stuff around it is, if they treat Walker like a joke again and make him almost like feel bad for stuff that I don't think he should truly feel ultimately bad for, it might totally. It might make me mad enough just to walk out of the film. Like there's certain things to me that like can happen, progression in a thing that I'm just like, nah, bro,
Mhm.
can't. Because it's like you don't even have good reason. Like I said, it'd be different. Like talking about earlier, it would be different if he would have killed like the innocent hot dog maker. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
even if it was somewhat by mistake, but he didn't have enough information, and he just kills this truly innocent guy. Then
Mhm.
maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. But like, I just don't feel like he's done anything so bad to be treated like he was. Like it's one movie, I can be whatever. There's a group of people and everybody's giving each other crap or whatever, and they're giving him more of the crap. A
Mhm.
second movie of that, and I'm going to be like, nah, bro,
Yeah.
I don't think that's cool.
We've got Greg in the chat saying Thunderbolts made him a man.
I would like to
But
know how. I would like to know how.
yeah. Um, elaborate, Greg. Um, but let's talk about that like final scene with the interconnected shame rooms. Yelena fights her way through memories of her own to get to where Bob is, and then they all fight their way through to where. Thank you for clarifying, Greg. Non-sexually.
Well, I mean, I wasn't even jumping to the conclusion it had to be sexually, but I
I
still
wasn't
wanted to know,
either.
like, yeah, I still wanted to know how it made you a man.
Yeah. Um, the everybody else fights their way through their own shame rooms, and I'm kind of glad that we don't see them because that seemed. I think that would have elongated that sequence too much in the film to get to where Yelena and Bob are. And before they get there, Yelena tells Bob, "I was wrong when I talked to you before. You can't just shove the bad down because you have to be around people, you have to talk about these things with people, you have to deal with them and process them." And I know from experience that that's true. um when we get to the final shame room where it's the lab again and the void is there waiting for them, and the void, you know, uses tables or whatever to tie everybody else up, and it's just Bob versus his darkness, I started crying because there's so many times I would have liked to have beaten up my depression because it's just so awful to experience. And when Yelena breaks free and goes and hugs him and like, you don't have to do this, I'm here. And then they all break free and they all pull Bob out of that. It just got me thinking about, of all things, the start of COVID. I was very alone prior to that, and then came into the Schmodown community, started going into Twitch streams, YouTube live chats, people's discords, met Ferris, Justin, and Shug, and we started this podcast. And for the first time, once I allowed myself to start actually getting to know you guys a little bit better as friends, I wasn't alone. And when I, let you guys know, hey, I have this schizoaffective disorder thing, and I'm not always going to have good days, and my bad days are going to be pretty bad. And none of you were like, oh, well, we don't need you here then. Like, I can't put into words what that meant to me. But for the first time in a very long time, other than my family, I wasn't alone. And that's all I was thinking about in that scene is, uh, you just want to destroy your depression, and you think that like doing something like beating it up, if it was right in front of you, would do it, like Bob was literally doing to the void. But that's not what does it. It's being around people and having conversations, and whether those conversations were about Schmodown or about your lives or something going on in my life, just interaction and friendship can take you out of a dark place. And I'm not saying it cures all. I don't think, and I think it's obvious from the post credit scene, Bob's not magically cured. He's not, he still has his mental health issues. He still has that dark side of him that personifies itself as the void. I still have that side of me too. But that side of me doesn't come out as often as it did before I found my family. in you guys, my group of friends. And it just makes me cry every time I watch that scene because it's all I can think about. You know, Danny and Brandy and Matt and Star and all of Snark, everybody on the channel,
Even
um,
Greg a little bit
even Greg,
and his grilled cheeses.
Brennan, Brennan as well, who was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he still is. Ryan, everybody in our Discord, just talking to everybody on a daily basis. I've had a rough few months, and this movie came out in the middle of it. And I don't know how I would have survived these few months if it wasn't for my friends and everybody pulling me back. And you guys have done that, even though you don't really know it. So,
Not
yeah.
so I can speak on a few things because, like, even though I wouldn't say like I wouldn't say I'm obviously not diagnosed with anything like that, but like, just a couple things. Like, I've always been this person that was like, uh, not going to stay down. Like, we'll go when I'm a little kid. I love horror movies from the very beginning. Uh, did and even as a young child, like 4 or 5, 6 years old, right? So watching stuff like Freddy Krueger could like traumatize some kids. And
Mhm.
I'm not like this perfect human being that like that doesn't bother. Like
Yeah.
Freddy still scared me. Jason still scared me. They would
Mhm.
show up in my dreams, but like even at that young of an age, I would like wake up, realize I was dreaming. I would go
Mhm.
back to sleep. I would start dreaming again about the same thing, but like at that young of an age, like Jesus would show up and take Freddy out.
Mhm.
Like my imagination would like overcome like me being scared of this. So like I was able to overcome that. But even as like say a teenager, my mom dated men. Unfortunately, didn't make the greatest of choices most of the time. That was like pieces of shit. There were times just like Bob, kind of like in this film, where I would be in a room and like I would be playing, put on some headphones, maybe play a game or like even listen to music and stuff, so I wouldn't have to hear the bickering back and forth, and it would get pretty bad at times. Uh, but there was one time that that was happening, and I kind of looked down and realized I'm not 12 anymore. I'm not small. I walked in there and almost pushed a guy through the wall. We was living in a trailer home at the time, so like, the walls aren't the most sturdiest everything in the world. So like I pushed the guy, he fell back into the wall and put like a big indentation into it that we ended up having to fix. But I was just like, get out of here, man! You're not going to treat my mom like that. So I
Mhm.
was able to like stand up and do that. And I was also like married for almost a decade to a person that was like diagnosed like depressant or whatever. Like I had to take like Zoloft and stuff like that all the time and everything else. And like I looking back on it, I always saw as a person that hey, if I got married, I'm gonna be one of these few people that's gonna be able to stay married forever, no matter what I got to go through, all this stuff. Uh, and even though that kind of didn't happen, that fell apart. You know, I got my son out of the deal, and then on top of that, I look back and go, that was pretty impressive for me to be with someone for almost a decade that was diagnosed with something like that, and to actually make them happy enough that it took that long for them to not do their thing and want to escape. So like
Mhm.
I actually kind of look back at that now and go like I didn't really fail. I actually probably did better than most in that situation. But one of the things I'll say, like being around people and stuff like that, is the biggest thing. Like with anyone that has that kind of thing, whether it be whatever variety of depression or something like they got, like mental health wise, is the biggest weakness of people that have that kind of stuff. The biggest weakness that I see, or the biggest thing that they don't notice, they always think they're trapped in the dark alone.
Mhm.
Always think that, right? And for others, some it may not be, they're not trapped in the dark as long, some they trapped in the dark longer, whatever. But they always think they're trapped in this dark corner, dark closet, whatever it is, alone. And it's hard for them to get out of it. It's hard for them to escape. And the biggest thing I've always seen, unless you're at unless you're in the worst of worst situations, and I know some people out there are, but like I would say 90 to 95% of the people that feel that way, it's just because they don't look. There's always hands trying to bring you out of that darkness. There's always people there trying to open the closet to get you out of that darkness and everything else. And the biggest thing that I see is people with depression is just not being able to like notice that, see it, reach up and grab one of the hands that's reaching down for them. Almost
Yeah, it's
everybody
hard
has
to see
somebody,
'em.
right? Almost everybody out there, whether they think so or not, has people that cares for them,
Yeah.
and they're going to be there trying to help you out. Just
Mhm.
grab the hand.
Yeah.
And it sounds super easy, right? Like when
It
you say
sounds
something
super
like,
easy, it's not.
right, just grab the hand sounds really easy, but like you have to understand that like it's not as easy as it sounds. It's a lot harder for some people, obviously, than others to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's like the biggest thing. I would say probably like in your situation, maybe it's a little easier for you to grab the hand just because like what you were saying, you had a group of friends and like a super bad time. And then like, you even mentioned like that group of friends pulled you out of it. Right. And that situation is like, maybe it's getting a little easier for you to reach out and grab the hand that's reaching out for you to try to pull you out of that. And maybe
Yeah.
that's something that over time you could be improved on. To me, it's
I
all about perspective and where you're at.
I had friends in the past that when it was a bad time for me and I needed someone's hand, they didn't offer them. And that's how I knew they weren't really friends. And so that's how I knew I was alone. My family has always been there for me and always will be. I have faith in that. But I didn't have like those people that were like my people, the that I knew I could, sit in voice chat for hours silently with if that's how I felt that day, or talk about a million miles a minute because it's the night before my medication injection and I'm manic and I just talk your ear off and I feel bad about it, but you don't judge me for it and you keep telling me it's okay. And like that was just Sunday night for me this week. Um I don't know what I'd do without you guys. And all I could think about while watching this um, movie, and especially that scene where they literally wrap their arms around Bob and pull him away from the personification of his depression back into the light, was that you guys all do that for me. And I cannot ever explain how much I appreciate that.
No, yeah, and it can be like a super awesome and super powerful moment. Like I see things out there that like inspire like me, and things like that. And who was in the chat earlier, Brennan. Like to me, he's like I know a lot of people say some stupid shit, like not really stupid, but they say things they don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
They give somebody a compliment or they try to notice somebody or whatever and they don't really care about it truly. They're just saying it to make themselves look good. Listen, in this whole situation, since we have this podcast, we've seen people like that, right? They just
Yeah.
come out and say shit and it don't mean anything because it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But with Brennan, and I hope he feels that way, when I've said things to Brennan, like maybe sometimes he thinks maybe it's over the top or something, but it's not for me. When I see somebody like Brennan that tries to go out there, do a podcast, do all that stuff that he does, willing to even come on here to do a show, with us here and there and
He
stuff
was
like
just on the Rewatchers Council
right.
earlier today.
It's super powerful because to me, and he even like somebody like him, a lot of people like him maybe would even choose like not to show the camera, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe they would keep themselves muted or whatever because they'd be afraid people would hear their machine, right? But he doesn't care about none of that. He goes out there, talks about what he enjoys to talk about, and he's got passion for those things that he has to talk about, and he goes out there and he does it no matter what, right? And when I see somebody like that, and I'm like, well, I don't have all that, right? I don't have to overcome as much. Like, so then it shouldn't be like night and day, like, easy, to be honest with you, comparably to that. So when I give him props for going out there and doing what he's doing, like, I mean that for real, 100%,
Mm-hmm.
and all that, because I can see, obviously, it is what it is. Like, he's got to do his thing,
Yeah.
and he does it anyway.
Yeah.
And I find that like highly commendable and stuff to be able to do that. But
Yeah. Brennan's a badass. We love him. Um, it's difficult for me to be on camera most of the time. I was never going to be on camera. Remember that, Justin? I was never
Mhm.
going to be on camera. I was just going to be behind the scenes. I was never going to do any of this. But I pushed out of my comfort zone, and now I host shows and I do things like this, and we're live on the internet right now, and I'm talking about it. And next Sunday, I'm going to sit down with Ferris live on the internet and talk about it even more detail.
It took being in the right position with the right people to be able to
Yeah.
like step out on that ledge and be able to take that chance. It's something that like I've talked to Brandy a little bit. I'm not gonna like super pressure, but me and Brandy's getting married soon. But one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that like Brandy has like a big thing about is like driving.
Mm-hmm.
Like she doesn't like driving. She's never got her driver's license, even uh, throughout all this time because of like not wanting to do it or whatever. But it's like to me, I you can do it if you really want to give it a try. You can do it. Now maybe you have to have the right support. Maybe you didn't have the right support at the time that you were trying to do that. Maybe like the first time or something like that. But that doesn't mean you can't do it with other people being there and stuff like that. So it is what it is when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to take the chance. You have to get on that ledge. We only got one life. Like I said, a lot of things has to do with like perspective, like Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of stuff here. Like it's all in how you look at things, bro. There's times where I get sad just like anybody else, man.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I'll do is like I'll sit down and like write something, not really like a journal. I'll just either write something on the computer, even maybe write something in a notebook or something like that, and whatnot. And like that's me being like the psychologist to myself. That's me putting the things that I feel on paper and everything else. But it's like I can't just sit here. You only got one life to live. I mean, and even though I don't have everything, I'm not rich or anything by far. All this stuff, and there's a lot of things I could feel sad about or be unhappy about or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't. We live once. We get one
Yeah.
life, and I'll say some of the dumbest crap on here when we're doing shows, when we're in the Discord or whatever. I'll say some of the dumbest. I know it's dumb. I say it on purpose because, like, if one person out of that group of people, if somebody watches this and I say something outlandish and they laugh or whatever, and even if it's them laughing because they think I'm a dumbass, I don't care. Like, that's one more person that laughed that day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've always said, any kind of bad situation that may happen or whatever, it's like if that person before they went and did that super bad thing would have got a hug before they did the bad thing, and somebody just said like, "Hey, don't know you, but you look like you needed a hug, man. People's out there for you." Just something simple like that could change someone's life, at least in that moment, and could
Yeah.
possibly change their life forever because they don't do the super bad thing they were about to do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do what they do, especially bad things, because they're desperate and
Yeah.
everything else. And yeah, it's this is one of those things. Just to be able to talk and communicate about any subject and not being offended or not being, uh, you know, just going at people just because they don't believe what you believe. Like, I know there's a lot of people that don't think exactly. I try to be as logical as possible, but even so, I'm a human. I'm not perfect. So maybe there's a side of something I didn't notice or see. Just because someone doesn't agree with me doesn't mean they hate me, doesn't mean they dislike me, doesn't mean I dislike them. It's because they've had a different experience. Just like me and you had an experience with this film, but it was different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw something different where I would critique that, hey, like I said earlier, maybe there was a little too much. I could even make the argument that if it was just Yelena that was going through the stuff and
Yelena.
Bob Yelena, I almost messed it up 5 more times, but Yelena and Bob going through the situation, right? Where all the other characters didn't have nothing else going on. They were just kind of goofy out there, but
Mm-hmm.
Yelena was going through a hard time. And then you have Bob going through the hard time that them coming together, especially in that room scene that you were talking about, because she arrives there first, could have possibly been more impactful. Just because of the fact that it would have been them two coming together at that right moment to help each other out in a very hard situation and
Yeah.
everything else. Like you
I
could make
I can see that. I can see that. I would also argue that this collection of characters in this film have the shittiest backstories of anyone in the MCU outside of
True.
Loki.
Yeah. I mean, I could totally except like to me, except for Walker, like he's just that one guy to me that just like
Well, yeah,
what they did in the.
Walker maybe least of all of them, but they
I
all have
thought
varying degrees of a shitty backstory.
I thought all the other characters was done pretty well. Like there was like
Mhm.
one or two that didn't get like a huge amount of time, but I still thought they were done well in the time they were given.
Yeah.
Walker was just this outlier that I was just like, bro. Like, and
Yeah.
I think the actor does really good.
Yeah,
Like,
Wyatt
I think
Russell
he's
does
really
great.
good. I think he's doing great with what he's given, but there was just some things he was given that I was just like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like for
We
instance, like in this story to me, Yelena's story should be the most powerful.
Mhm.
Like, and I should be feeling super bad. And it's not that I didn't feel bad for her character, but I should be feeling super bad, super sympathetic for her character. But I kept getting sidetracked on like, why is this happening to Walker? That like she was like secondary to me because I'm just like, bro, man, look at this guy. And like I
Yeah.
said, it would have been different. Like I said, at the end of the movie, he got this huge moment, right?
Mhm.
But to me, like I said, it's not like he wasn't gave anything. It was just like I don't think he was given enough for how much he was kind of like brought down during the whole rest of the film.
Yeah. A few comments in the chat from Greg, and then let's get out of here because we've been doing this for almost an hour. Greg saying, "Stay on the side with Mountain Dew and grilled cheeses." You know it, Greg. Got to stay on that side. He also saying, "War Eagle,"
Damn right. Football
and he,
season starts not long from now.
yeah, he says he will
Let
always be proud of y'all and thankful. Well,
Let me
thank
tell
you,
you
Greg.
something right now, guys. I know this ain't sports time, but you know what? I woke up this morning. I stepped outside and it was cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like the rain was going to fall down upon the glorious state of Alabama all the way through it.
Okay.
But there was this break in the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of sunlight was shining down, like you see in some movies or something like that. Maybe in most movies or something like an angel would be falling down from the sky very slowly. But that's not what I seen.
What'd you see?
I saw an eagle.
Oh, there you go. It's a
I saw
sign.
an eagle flying high, doing his thing, getting ready to whoop all those asses out there in the NCAA college football world, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Auburn's making a comeback. Auburn's making the comeback. I'm calling it here on the show randomly. Just randomly. Look at that. Look at these emojis. That's what I'm talking about right there. The sun is going to shine down upon the friendliest village on the plains. I'm going to drink me some lemonade. I'm going to have a blast watching Auburn win games this year. I'm going
Well,
to talk all the
I
smack I
hope
can.
that happens for you, Justin. I really do.
Yeah, I really do too. Really do.
Maybe Justin will do some shorts about it over on the Good Friends Better Rivals channel, since
I ain't
that's
gonna lie
a
to you. I was
sports
trying to
channel.
last year a little bit, and it fucking fell apart pretty quick. I
Yeah.
got this. I got this hard.
Mm-hmm.
I got this hard.
Let me tell you something. One of the things that has consistently been something that has kept my mental health higher than it maybe possibly would have been otherwise is watching sports. So that's why you will see me on lots of stuff over on the sports channel, including this weekend when we do our WWE SummerSlam watch alongs. You are muted.
When you join the Discord, what you can do for free now, you
Mm-hmm.
might be able to come in there and during the NFL season, whenever the Broncos play, we like to get together and sing a "Let me ride that dog, yeah, dog, yeah, let me
No,
ride
we
that
do
dog,
not.
yeah."
No, we do
What?
not. No,
Yeah.
we do not. We do not do that.
Man, she's already ending one of the best traditions we had in the Discord.
It's never been a tradition because it's never been a thing that's happened.
Greg knows.
No. Okay, Justin, where can people find you?
Here, here, whenever you can. Trying to do a little bit more stuff with like some of the news and everything, get back in the swing of things, be a little more consistent when it goes to some of that stuff, man. But it's just super hard, guys. It's like, man, I see these people that are out there, and I see their like YouTube channels and stuff, and I'm like, man, I could do that. But then like a brick wall hits me that's like, oh, they don't have a 40-hour a week job that they have to actually go to the job and like
Yeah.
do. And then especially like me, I have to drive almost an hour to get there,
Mhm.
and back. So I had about an hour and a half to 2 hour total time like on my job technically that I don't even get paid for. It's just getting there and back every week or every day. And when you do that kind of stuff, it's like, bro, I just don't have the time. And I'm old.
Mhm.
I don't have the energy I had when I was like 20,
Yeah.
and I could go probably without sleep for like 2 days and like raise hell and
Mhm.
praise Dale.
Yep. Greg saying Adelia bot cue the music. No. The music bot Greg is the Justin bot, for the record. Um, I am amazed that I made it through this review without crying, so A plus for me. Justin, what's your score on this movie?
Man, we almost forgot. You already had gave yours pretty early on, but
Yeah,
like I'm at a I'm at a 3. I
you're at a
enjoyed the
3.
movie. I liked it, and I mean, we're only doing it 1 out of 5 stars because we're doing the thing where we're putting it on Letterbox.
Mhm.
So I'm at a 3 because I enjoyed the movie. But and we didn't talk about a lot of that now. One thing great about a movie like this, it's got its flaws,
Mhm.
but things that me and you were able to talk about because of this movie. That's why I like movies like this being made sometimes, because you can have discussions, even though it's not directly about the movie, that surrounds the movie and everything else. It can be like really fun discussions, really entertaining discussions to be like that, to be honest.
Thank you,
Uh,
Shug.
so, like, but I did enjoy the movie. But then if I go at it, there were some things that I thought was like kind of dumb. There were a couple of dumb things that happened, like plot wise, like and all this that it was just like, bro, that don't make sense. I mean, one of them being at the very beginning of the film, like Yelena's out there doing her thing, and she's like, kind of like secretly trying to like, uh, get these people, kill them if she has to, maybe get around them if she can to get this certain thing and piece of information, and to in the end be like not even far enough away from the building that you couldn't see her just blow it up. It's like, well, why did you sneak in there? You just
Yeah.
blew it up. Like you
Yeah.
just blew it up. You could have just
Yeah. That
did
wasn't the
some.
plan. That was not the plan. That was the plan when everybody whose face would have gotten her past that facial recognition software uh, was blown up, basically.
It's
She
like,
had no
bro.
other choice.
But yeah, but there's like things like that in the
It's not a
film,
perfect movie. It's not a perfect
right?
movie. I will say that again. It's not a perfect movie. Um, even though I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, that's from the fact that I feel seen by a movie, let alone a superhero movie, let alone an MCU movie, in a way that I've never felt before
You
with
know
a
what?
portrayal
Yeah,
of mental health.
I'm gonna go 3.5.
3.5.
I'm giving a
Okay.
half score freely to this movie because of the I think really great conversations that could come out of there,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
talking about those type things, and because they did it well. Sometimes people try to do this stuff and they do it kind of shittily. To be honest with you, I don't. I
They
think,
do.
and I did not expect a kind of deep dive into like the subject matter that it had in there, and it actually be done well in a comic book movie. To be honest with
Yeah.
you,
It was really surprising to me.
yep.
Really surprising. But anyways, you guys can find Justin on the Rewatchers Council uh MCU edition tomorrow. They're talking Ant-Man. Uh not tomorrow, Saturday. They're talking Ant-Man. Tomorrow is the Angel edition of Rewatchers Council. Ferris and Snark talked about Angel episode 1, Angel season 1 episode 16 that premieres at 5 p.m. Pacific on Friday. The Ant-Man Rewatchers Council will premiere at 5 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. I got family in town, so I'm not on either of those episodes this week. And then we're just not going to address that. We're just not going to address that. Also, it says heresy pie, Shug, not Hershey pie, which is very different. And Justin is muted again.
This is why I brought it up, because this is why it's very different. This is why I'm bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Dumbass. Could have been a slightly funny thing we could have laughed at later in a Discord.
Mm-hmm. Heresy
What the
pie.
hell is heresy pie?
Yeah.
Who's being the heresiest? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if heresis is a word. I just made that up on the fly.
You might have just made that up, I believe. But you can also find me over on Good Friends But Rivals this weekend, 3 p.m. Pacific, both Saturday and Sunday. We're doing WWE SummerSlam watch alongs. Me, Ferris, Shug's going to be on them, maybe, and Matt's going to be on them, and possibly Ryan Christensen, and maybe Justin if Justin is around as well. So we're just going to hang out and have fun and watch some stupid wrestling content because that's exactly what I'm expecting it to be. But until next
I would.
time, guys,
I wish it was as stupid as it used to be.
it's so stupid. Um, until next time, guys, we're out of here. Bye.